Hello and welcome to Friday Art with me, Cate Field, artist, teacher, speaker and passionate about helping you find your creative spirit and then developing it. Today we're going to be making these little crosses. I'm using driftwood from my local beach, which is really nice, but you could use twigs and sticks, whatever you have. I really hope you are well. Welcome if you are new. Thank you so much for all the lovely well wishes when I wasn't feeling very well over the last couple of weeks. I am feeling very much better. Thank you. Right, let's go. Oh, this is going to be such a lovely thing for me to do today. I'm going to show you how to make the God's Eye, the Ojo de Dios. And I'm using driftwood and yarn. You may have made many of these, perhaps when you were little, but I'm just a little reminder really to kind of give you some ideas of how you could make your own. Now, these are kind of traditional spiritual weavings that originated by the Huichol people of Mexico and as a symbol of protection and vision. And I'm using driftwood. I live by the sea, so I have access to a lot of driftwood. But you could use twigs, anything like that. Or you could also use lollipop sticks if you want to. It's up to you. The idea is the same and you can just do your own adaptation. I've got scissors, I've got some tweezers, some double-sided tape. The lovely thing about this is you can just use leftover bits of yarn and it doesn't matter whether it's kind of quite chunky yarn or kind of cotton, it doesn't matter. So what I've done with my driftwood is that I've washed them, and I didn't need to bleach these at all because they were bleached by the sun on the beach. But I have dried them and I've smoothed them down a little bit. I love driftwood. I think it's just so beautiful. There's just so many ways that we can use driftwood in our art. And this is quite a nice way. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to choose two bits. We're going to start off, that's with just some a thin one. And we're just going to make our cross shape. And I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue, a little bit of a glue blob, just to hold that together, because otherwise it wobbles about a bit, and until you really start the weaving, it can be a bit annoying. So I'm going to do that first. Then I'm going to think about how I'm going to start putting this together. Now I've put this one on the top. This is going to be the front. That's the back. The back is really lovely as well. Just have a look at this one. Here you have the different weavings going in and out there. So it is very pretty. So there we go. I've just put a little, as I said, a little blob there. I'm going to start off with this yarn, and what we're going to do is just tie this first bit on. Getting started is the fiddly bit. So right, we're doing just do a little bit there. Again, that blob's not quite dry yet. That's okay. You could always put a little bit of white glue on that to hold it, because you won't see this bit in the middle. So I'll show you what we do, or what I do. The lovely thing about this sort of craft, this is me talking and trying to do this at the same time, is that you can adapt it to however you want. And I really like that. And I'm going to be doing this with my little students this week in our art class. And if you're in the Facebook group, I will post some photos because I know that they will be absolutely adorable. Right, I'm just going to snip that little end off there. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to move all of those out of the way, otherwise that's going to get all tangled up. We're going to start to wrap around the middle, and then there's this pattern that we're going to follow, and that bit there will be tucked in, so we're not going to worry about that. So we're going to come round this way, roll it round, come round this way, and roll it round. So we're wrapping around each one. And I say to begin with, it gets a little bit fiddly. Now I like to hold it with my right hand and wrap with my left, but you do it whatever way works for you. I'm just going to keep wrapping it round, turning it round each time, bringing it under, wrapping it round and turning it like that. Now there are lots of different ways of weaving these, and this is just one, and I will show you another one as well, but we're going to do this one to begin with. Wrapping it round and turning. And you can start to add different colours whenever you want. So let's have this. I'll just do one more around that way. You can get into a bit of a rhythm with it. Right, I'm coming back to the beginning here, and I'm going to just snip that bit off. You have to kind of like pull it quite tight, keep it together. I'm just going to snip that there, and now I'm going to add my thicker yarn. I say it really doesn't matter if you have thick yarn or thin. You can just use them both. I'm just going to join these with a reef knot. Just like that. Again, just pulling that down there. Like that. That knot will be at the back, that's fine. Wrapping that round. Ooh. Again, this is sort of one of those things that once you get into the rhythm, you can zoom along quite quickly. My problem is talking at the same time. That's when things go a little bit squiffy, but that's okay. And again, remember, we can just tidy everything up at the back later. We're just going to keep wrapping. Now, the secret is keeping it tight. So it is a little bit fiddly. So if you're doing this with little ones, you might need to give them a bit of a hand to get going. There we go. I'm liking these colours. I'm going to show you the back in a moment. Whoa, that's what happens. But again, it doesn't. If that happens, you just pick it up again. It's fine. There we go. Right, just putting that like that, because if we turn around, you can see that we're getting this crossover bit like that. And I will tuck that bit in a minute, because otherwise it's going to annoy me. Let's pull that round. Now you go as far as you want. You know, it's one of those kind of designs that I love, because you can just do your own thing. Now, the other thing you can do is you can add bits to it, either as you go, so you could thread beads onto your yarn, or you can add those afterwards, which is what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to add a little bit of decoration afterwards. Like with this one, I put that little bit of gold in the middle. But I'm also going to be doing some tassels. So I do like a tassel. Tassels are great. Right, I'm coming to the end of this one, but you can see how that's coming together. I'm going to do a little bit more, but I do want to have my driftwood showing on this. So again, I come back to this one, you can see I've got sort of bits sticking out there. So I'm going to do a few more rounds with this colour, I think, and see how that works, and then we'll do the tassels. So I did a bit more with the variegated yarn. I've put a little bit of double-sided tape around the end just to hold that bit on, and what I'm going to do now is to make my loop just to sort of hold it together. Again, lots of different ways of doing this, and you might have your own preferred way. I'm just going to pop it round there and then just wrap it and then finish it off with a tiny bit of glue, just sort of to hold it in place. And again, it's been stuck with a little bit of double-sided so it doesn't sort of flap about all over the place, because that is the bit that is really annoying. Now, I have got some beads and buttons and things like that, and in the next one that I do, I'm going to show you how I use those. But you can always add things later anyway. It works really well. Just show you the back of it. I will tidy up those bits, but you can see how the back is coming together. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on that, hold that together, and then we're going to go on to the next one, and then we'll do the tassels. So this time I'm going to use my kind of more chunky ones. I put a bit of double-sided tape on there, and I'm just finding the end. Sometimes I think getting the the bit of the double-sided tape off is the hardest bit, isn't it? Right, there we go. Pull that off. Right, again, I'm just going to place that on there just to kind of hold it, and then as the yarn sticks to that double-sided tape, it kind of will hold it a little bit more secure. I'm not going to put very much yarn on this because I really love the shape of this particular piece of wood and I want to show the end, so I'm just going to do a little bit in the middle. And this time I'm going to use 2 strands of yarn together. So again, they can it can make it look just so lovely. But you can just try out different things. Now I'm just going to wrap this one. You don't have to start off with a knot. Just going to pop that round there, so I've got that little bit of sticky tape there, so that will hold it in place. Let's just do that. I'm going to get my hands in the right position, and again, you do whatever works for you. There we go, going to do that. Wrap that round. It's going to get caught up with all sorts of things, isn't it? Let's do that. Turn it. Bring it round. Turn. Let's just keep that under there. Again, keeping them quite taut. Wrapping it round. Now this time, you see, I didn't put anything in the middle. I wanted to keep that bit exposed. I'll say lots of different ways of doing this. You can find your own way. Make up your own one. That's what I say with my students all the time. So I said, I'm teaching you the technique. What you then do with it is up to you. And I love that. My students are an endless source of inspiration for me. Right, that pink, the dark pink ran out, but that's okay. This is it. It's just such a good way of using up leftover bits of yarn. You see how that's coming together. That's really lovely. I'm going to put a little bit of tape on there to hold that bit together. And I actually really like that. I like that kind of quite minimalistic look. I might just put a little bit more and then do the bit at the top. So just adding a little bit more of this pink on its own. Just found a little bit left over. I'm just going to go around one more time. Just holding that tight. There we go. Around there. Keeping the pieces very close together. And then what I've done on the back of it, I've put some more double-sided tape. Oh, have I gone round? Yes, I have. Right, that's good. I'm going to go round. And now this time, I'm going to wrap the yarn around this bit. Again, you could just put a little bit of glue. I'll just put some of the double-sided tape. I'm just going to twist that round, wrapping it round. I'm going to put another layer, so it doesn't matter if you can still see a bit of the wood, because I want this bit to be a little bit more chunky. Turning it round like that. Again, you can use a little bit of white glue because it won't show. Whatever you want to do to finish it off. That's just. So you see that bit's coming down there. I'm just going to pull those bits up. I'm going to be wrapping some silver and gold thread around this just in a moment. So that's my sticky bit there. And I will put a tiny blob of glue along the back like that. So I've threaded my needle with some gold thread, some metallic, and I've just put it into the back, just sort of pulling that through. Now, if you've worked with gold or silver metallic thread before, you will know that it absolutely has a mind of its own. Oh my goodness. I did a whole series of metallic pieces, quite a long time ago now. And oh my goodness. Yeah, there's yes. Anyway, it is lovely though, and that's why I like it. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put a little bit, wrapping it round. Here we go. Yep, doing its own thing. And you can make kind of patterns with the thread, which I do like. I do like doing that. And the reason I put it on the needle, it just makes it easier to finish it off, because I can then just sort of tuck it in sort of through these bits here. It can just go underneath like that. And again, just hold it in place a little bit like that. I like that. I like that. You might want it more uniform, but you could also, so I just found these as well, you could add buttons and beads and all sorts of things. I'm going to leave that like that, so I'm just going to finish off this. Again, I'm just going to weave it through the end like that. Now I've lost my scissors. Oh my goodness, there they are, right in front of my nose. Oh dear, there we go. Now I'm going to do a little handle and some tassels. So I'm going to make I'm going to make some tassels. There are so many ways of making a tassel, and if you have your own favourite way, then you go ahead and do that. I'm just going to use a bit of old cardboard, and I'm just going to wrap my yarn around the cardboard, I don't know, about 12 times maybe, depending on how kind of fluffy and how big you want your tassel to be. Just do it like that, and then what I'm going to do is going to cut about an arm's length, tuck that through there, and just going to tie that bit like that. Remove my cardboard. Leave those bits that I've just tied it with. And then I'm just going to use my fabric scissors to cut the end. And that's the first bit of our tassel. We can tidy up all the ends later. Just tighten that up. This yarn is quite springy, so again it's a little mind of its own. Bring it round like that. Now there's lots of different ways that you can finish off your tassel, and you can add beads and buttons, you can do lots of different types of wrapping. But one of the things that I really like, and what I want to do on this one, which may be a little bit chunky, let's just, I don't know, maybe not, it might be, but you know, the principle is the same. We're going to keep this bit here, just open it up like that, because I want that bit to be at the top and not the knot, so we're just going to turn that round. I'll just turn that over, the knot's on the other side, just open it like this, and I'm going to put a bead on this. I'm just going to join those two ends together. Got one of my big chunky beads, so I don't need to use a needle or anything to poke the yarn through. It's just going to come through like that, and then I've got that at the top. Bring that round, so that's going to be the top like that. I'm going to put a couple more beads there, but what we're going to do now is to wrap this bit, and I'm going to use my gold thread for this. So I'm going to do 2 arm lengths like this. Now, holding this bit together, again, when your yarn is very, very springy, this is where I just get a peg. And then I can just grab it all together and keep it under control. Right, here we go. Because it does take a little bit of practice. And again, when you're doing this with little ones, they can, I know if you've never done it before, you can get very frustrated. But don't give up. You lay that down like that. And I'm just going to start to wrap around this. Again, this is why you don't want any more than an arm's length, really, because it doesn't do what you want it to do. Bringing it tight, wrapping it round, keeping it under control. Just as you can see, that's still a little bit baggy on there, but that's okay, because we can just keep wrapping keep going round and round. Let's say if you've got your own method of doing that, you do it. This is not quite as smooth as I would like, but it's okay for the demonstration. Like I say, in all of my tutorials, I will make mistakes, and I tend to keep my mistakes in because that's real life, isn't it? Again, you can take your time over this. I'm doing this quite quickly because otherwise you're going to get really bored. Again, nearly at the end. I'm going to tuck it in on itself, pulling that tight, and again I might just put a little bit of glue. I'll use my needle and tuck that in. So let's remove my peg. There we go. And that's a very, very simple. Oh, we just need to tidy up the end. Tidy up these ends, I think. Let's just get those. That's better. Nice little chunky one there. And again, you can do these in so many different ways. I quite like the simple ones. I like it with this one as well. Just I wrapped a little bit around the edge. The ends there, and then hold it all together. So I've now got this one and this one, and this here is going to be attached to this. Now we've already got a little hook there, so I might use that, or I might just wrap it round and let it dangle. This one I'm not sure about. I think it's too big. I might make a smaller one with these pink ones to go on here. I'm going to make one more and then we will finish. So with this final one, I've done the same thing, putting one piece on top of another. But this time I'm going to go over the top of the front, wrap it round, and then go over the top again. So I'm creating this weave over the top of it. Just sort of bringing it together. Again, this is going to be quite a minimalistic one, because I do like the colour of this wood. Just sort of bringing it round over the top, just creating a weave. As you can see, that one. I think that's really quite pretty. The back of it looks a mess at the minute, and I will tidy that up. So you can see I've gone down this way. Now I'm going to go back over this way and come over the top. Now the yarn that I'm using is a cotton, because it does lend itself quite well to these sorts of patterns rather than wool. You can see I'm just sort of bringing that around, and you can have a play with it and just see how that's going to work. I hope you can see that. Me wiggling this around. You can see the pattern forming there. And now I'm going to go back to the pattern that we did originally. So coming round and then turning and round, and it just means that we have that woven pattern in the middle, which is what I wanted for this one. Keeping them quite tight. Get a little bit of glue to hold it in. Like that. And as you get into the rhythm, it becomes very meditative, like many yarn crafts. But it is one of those things that you have to kind of, oh dear, that's that's not what I want. You have to get the technique, and that takes time. And then once you've got the technique, you can just relax. There we go. Just bringing that around like that. I'm just going to keep this with this lilac colour, and I'm going to add a bit of silver. This. And I like to create a little Easter scene in my kitchen window, which my neighbours think is very sweet, and which is very sweet of them, I think. So I have my little crochet hens and my little birds, and then some of these as well. I'd love to know your Easter traditions. I just think it's fascinating. I'm just going to wrap this around now. I'm going to put a bit of not masking tape, a bit of double-sided tape just to hold those in, and then I'll create a little handle on that and then do the silver. So I've wrapped some silver thread and then some silver wire around the top there. I haven't done a handle yet. I might do one. I'm not sure. Some of these I like to just prop up rather than hang up. So while I was sort of playing around and sorting out what else I could do, I found some little beads. So I thought I would just do this one. And again, I wanted to keep this quite minimalistic. So I've just put some yarn that's got very slight sparkle to it. And then I've got these little beads. They're from an old necklace, I think, that was broken, and I've just kept because I like things like that. So I quite like that one. And what I love about these designs is that you can make them very simply. You can do some quite complex designs with them. You can add tassels and all sorts of other things as well. You can truly make them your own. I do hope you've enjoyed that tutorial. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, that would be really lovely. I do appreciate it. Please leave a comment, perhaps just a little heart if you don't know what to write, or you could give me a weather update, because we always like a weather update. And if you'd like to see some more, you could look at this one or this one. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.